This conference will now be recorded.
You ready? All right. Hello, everyone. I'd like to call the meeting to order. Budget meeting of July town meeting of Ocean Ridge. Kelly, could you call the roll, please?
Commissioner Ayla?
Here.
Commissioner Hutchins?
Here.
Commissioner Cassidy?
Here.
Vice Mayor Cos?
Here.
Mayor Healy?
Here. All right. Can we stand for the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. You see the agenda before you. Are there any additions, deletions, modifications on the agenda? If they're not, I'm going to make a motion.
I move that we accept the agenda.
Second. There's a motion and a second. Any other discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Motion carries. Terry, why are you going to sit down? Public comment.
I had to run to get here, man.
Well, a lot of raining.
We already did public.
No, it was this morning. You want to go first? Terry Brown, Harvard Drive South. No, the only thing that I wanted to comment on, collect my thoughts here, is that in the past, the leader of the town manager, would issue a narrative identifying what she hoped the town needed to do with the upcoming budget cycle. Such things as flood control, hurricane preparedness, and reserves in the bank. Those people over there in Fort Myers, the city of Fort Myers is $350 million in debt. Can we borrow money if the storm comes here and rips out Old Ocean? Can we pay for it? It's going to cost you a lot more than the $6 million you got in the bank. So what I'm looking at is what kind of goal we want the town to be looking for in the next budget year. Not just looking at the line items. You guys are going to go through the line items and strike them out and add them in, right? On those categories. But you don't have any vision in that statement. Do you not remember the narratives that were always included?
And the narratives will be included in the final rounds of the budget.
Okay, not before. And, if you read the article in the paper this morning about Ron Ferris, the city manager up in Palm Beach Gardens, which was a wonderful article about him. And he's been there over 20 years. Now, admittedly, he's making a lot more money than Lynn is. He always gave them a vision of where they should go. And that's what I think we, the residents, are looking for. Thank you.
Thank you.
Commissioner, Mayor, Vice Mayor, Monday, is it Monday?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, it's Monday. I went through this weekend, sorry, Christine asked for 29 Stable Island. I was going through some of my stuff in my office and I brought back 12 binders. That is my contribution to the budget. I found left over. And when I was going through it though, I found something that I had saved and it's called Making Sense of Municipal Budgets. And it says, it should probably be titled by the author. It says, Don't Cry Out Loud. It was actually pretty interesting. It's pretty concise. And for, a couple of you who haven't ever done a municipal budget because it is so different than a corporate budget, I thought it was interesting. So front staff make copies and I'll pass them out to you. But we didn't practice this, but the first thing is statement of priorities. So I think you guys got a far distance on that when you had your workshop, which was great. And I just encourage you to keep those almost written on a piece of paper next to you and make sure that everyone goes back to that, because if not, it gets really easy to get caught in the weeds and with personal agendas and other things like that. So take one and pass it around.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you. Anything else? Anyone else for public comment?
Thank you. Thank you, Christine.
All right. Closing public comment, going right to the meat of the subject here. Regular agenda item. Now, how do you want to, usually what we'll do is we'll go through each department. I'm sorry. And then after that's done, aren't we agreeing on the the ceiling of the millage rate?
I actually have a brief presentation I would like to give prior to getting into the details. To give you guys some information about the budget, what isn't there.
So a
So
spoken
if-
narrative?
If Kelly can turn the screens over to
Before,
me.
Mr. Mayor, if I could just ask, this is a lot of great material that we're going to go through, and a lot of it, it's really important stuff for us to go through, but I'd like to make sure that we have enough time so that there's a certain amount of this stuff, as we talked about at the last meeting, that's just kind of making sure the lights are on and, operating the town. And, we can argue about things around the margin, but it's not going to make a big difference. At the end, though, we've got a gap between what we need for that and what, if we keep the millage rate the same, what the revenue would be. I think it's about $847,000 raise, so to speak, if we kept the millage rate at 5.4%. I'd like to make sure that we have enough time set aside so that we can talk about, so what do we want to do with that? Do we want to lower the millage rate? Do we want to use
Well, that's
that?
what, yeah, exactly. We have to do that because we have to set the upper limit of the millage rate.
Right, but as part of having that conversation, I think there's kind of some meaty conversations around what do we want to use that surplus for if there was a surplus, replacing the pipes, whatever, over how many years do we want to do that? I just want to make sure that we could spend our entire time going through each of these line items, and I think the more important discussion maybe is that one. So I just want to make sure that we time, bound it so that we don't use up all of our time on the.
I think we'll be pretty efficient.
Great.
All right.
To start out, some of the assumptions that are in the budget in front of you. It is set at a 5.4 mill levy. The estimated ad valorem tax revenue at 5.4 mils is $9,085,029. Total estimated revenues for FY25 are estimated to be $13,045,298.
Can you
Of
repeat
those,
that 13 million, please?
$13,045,298.
Right there.
Is this printed out anywhere, or should we be writing all of this down?
Sorry, I forgot to hand these down.
No, I know, but it's not.
I made a copy of the
Okay.
presentations for
Okay.
everybody up here so that you can make copies on them. Our estimated general fund expenditures for FY25 are $10,430,152. The estimated capital project expenditures are $2,390,709. That number does not include some of our carryover projects, and it doesn't include some of the major stormwater projects, because at the last workshop, meeting, it was discussed that maybe we needed to reprioritize some of our capital projects. There are still items that are fluid right now. Most importantly, going into this meeting is the FY25 mill levy, because we have not set that cap. Our employee wage increases, as the final comp and cost study has not been presented. And the union collective bargaining agreement is on hold due to a requested PERC hearing and possible union election. So we are still up in the air as to what to place the police wages at for next year. Final rates for our health insurance will not be available till the end of July, as they're not provided by the carriers more than 3 months in advance of an insurance renewal. And our final property liability and work comp rates have yet to be provided for the same reason with the insurance rates.
Lynn, have you built any assumed increases in on any of those?
There are some assumed increases, but they are subject to change.
For sure, but they all have an increase, because we know they're going to increase.
For everything but the employee wages, because we've talked a lot about a lot of different things, so those are not in there. As you'll notice, there's a change in the way things are formatted. We've taken the maintenance projects out of capital and budgeted for them under the general fund. And their presumed transfer amount of general fund to capital to cover the cost of capital projects has not been input as a decision, so that we can see exactly how much is left of our annual revenues before we make that transfer. Then to give you just a couple of breakdowns, this is a breakdown by amount for each department of what the expenditures are. As you can see, police and EMS is the largest expenditure. Capital projects is next, followed by general government. And when you break it down by percentages, police and fire are 41% of our budget. Capital projects is 18.33%. General government is 10.24%. I think those are important numbers to keep in mind as we're moving forward with the budget. Current planned capital projects are equal to 26% of the ad valorem income at 5.4 mils. That had been asked of me is how many mils are we spending? How much of our mill levy is going towards capital projects? It is 26%. The Hudson Avenue Seawall project, which was budgeted in 2024, is still in flux. We're not sure if we're going to get that funding. I have added land acquisition as a line item because I'd like the commission to consider possibly offering a small remuneration to property owners for which we are requesting an easement for storm drainage. I have taken out the budgeted carryover costs for the stormwater easements on Harbor Drive North and South. We've carried those budget numbers over for 3 years now, and the project has not taken place. So in keeping with prioritizing our projects, I wanted to allow the commission to seriously consider that. And there is still $500,000 in the budget for the valve can insertion project. We requested this as a legislative appropriation, but it was vetoed by the government, or by the governor, so we will not be getting a 50% share.
Hey, Lynn,
Yes.
on Hudson Ave seawall, if I remember correctly, we put in 50% of the money into the budget.
Right.
And now we're waiting. So where's that money going to end up on October 1st?
On October 1st, if the grant has been offered, it will go towards the Hudson Avenue Seawall project. So
And if it doesn't, where do you?
if it doesn't, it would remain within capital projects to go towards other capital projects.
Thanks.
The cost of the ARPA water main project is encumbered in FY24, so we don't need to budget for those costs in FY25. However, our water distribution infrastructure is in serious need of major replacement. The various sizes and types of pipe in town is currently 71,438 linear feet. The ARPA project is replacing approximately 3,600. It actually ends up being 3,775 when I looked at the paperwork, leaving approximately 67,000. The estimated cost for replacement of water line based on the ARPA project is between $600 and $650 per linear foot, but it does not include our engineering costs, as those costs actually come directly from the bid for the replacement line. What we need to do today is determine the mill levy cap. This is not setting our final mill levy. This is setting what is the highest mill levy the town will consider levying. This has to be certified to the county on our DR 420 before our next work session meeting. And we need to determine what capital projects will be funded for FY25. I've also included in here a list so that you would have it on your copy of the capital projects that we budgeted for in FY24, as well as a copy of the mill rates calculator so that you can see what it changes by every 0.1% of a mill. So if you are looking to increase it or decrease it, you have that information directly in front of you.
0.01, you mean, right?
No, 0.1, because in most cases it goes from like 0.2 to 0.3 to might go by 0.5s, but it's usually by 0.1.
We always discuss, Captain Carolyn's point, we always say like the mill rate is 5 point something. So what Lynn's saying is that the 5.1 is an additional 166,000 versus 5.0. Is that correct, Lynn?
That's correct.
It's not the way it's displayed on the chart.
Could you leave the millage thing up there, Kelly? Because I can't read
Yeah, really.
that.
Yeah, it's too small.
I can't hardly read it.
I can't,
I can't
I
read it up
mean,
there.
but I hear on my screen, I can read it here, but
Oh, yeah,
yeah,
perfect.
no way. All right, so any questions for Lynn, and or we want to start tab by tab?
Lynn, when we had our one-on-one, I had asked if anywhere there's an analysis, at least at a high level, that says year over year in a proposed budget, what's the increase? I find that helpful when I'm looking at like what went up, what went down. If something stayed kind of the same, it's probably okay, you know?
I don't have that other than if you look in your budget book, it shows you what the current 23-24 budget is in the first two columns. Current budget, what has been expended. Then there is a column that says,
I mean, I know I could do the math myself, but I was just wondering if we have someplace where you can kind of look at variances that are over 5%.
Because we did have that last year.
oh, we did, but the new system does not do that.
It's kind of surprising that.
This is the
that's
new-
kind of an obvious.
BSNA financial system.
It doesn't provide it in the budget report, no.
That's too bad.
All right, so we're going to start out with revenues and expenditures. The general fund. First page.
That makes life easy.
Lynn?
So in your revenues, Kelly's got it up in front of you. As I said, we are calculating at a 5.4 mil levy for the ad valorem taxes. The majority of the rest of our, what's considered general revenues, the 301 or 310,000, mostly remain the same. And
Lynn, do me a
slight
favor,
reduction-
excuse me, I'm sorry. Could you move your microphone closer to your mouth?
Sorry.
Thank you.
And Lynn, is that middle one in the blue? I take it that's year to date.
Yeah, middle one in blue is year to date. You have, your first column is the 23-24 amended budget, because that's how it came in when the system converted. Activity is the second column in blue. The third column is the department requested, and I'm not sure why it's not showing.
But the amended budget number is actually different. It's not the 8077, correct? It's the 8238.
Correct. When
219.
they brought in the 808, when they brought in the amended budget, they didn't have the correction, which is also in the DR 420.
Can I ask the question while you're doing that, or would you
Yep.
rather or not?
Yep.
So looking at the kind of year to date, it's hard for me to project, to do in my head whether we think we're going to miss budget or not. Building permits, as an example, last year we budgeted 750,000 of revenue. We're at 500 year to date. We're budgeting only 700 next year. Is that because you expect we're going to have a shortage this year, or is something changing that makes us think that? I'm not challenging it, I'm just trying to understand.
It is because I've seen a slowdown in the number of permits that are being pulled. If you had looked at, not FY '24, but FY '23, FY '23, we budgeted to take in 900,000 that year. We took in just slightly over 700,000, thinking that we would not see such a reduction. Last year, I had budgeted 750. Seeing the significant slowdown, developers are slower to do spec homes because of the interest rates, which spec homes are a lot of our new single family. I anticipated that we would see a reduction in our permitting fees next year.
Okay, like those are the ones, like that's the most interesting to me, is where something's changing.
Yeah.
And you've got a reason for it, obviously,
Yep.
but it's not as obvious in looking at this, what that reason would be, et cetera.
I guess, are we asking maybe for the next presentation if someone can go through and put in those? I mean, it seems like
I would-
crazy that the
Yeah.
software won't do it.
Even just when it's, plus or minus, 10% or something, would be useful to me to understand why.
So
But you're doing a good job of explaining it, I'm just saying.
Nope, I understand.
I just had a definition question.
Yep.
Bottom of the page, police, what's it called, your category? Zoning fees,
Yep.
law enforcement / fire service. So 221, we're at 76 and we're doing 221 again. What exactly is that revenue?
That revenue specifically,
It's not dogs on the beach tickets.
no,
A lot of dogs.
Yeah.
not the alarm monitoring.
Like how do the police and fire generate revenue?
Well, my question is also the same thing regarding the electric franchise tax was 225. We figured we were going to get in for that revenue in 23, 24. We only received 97. I don't see us receiving the next 2 months equal 290. So why is it back to 290? Up at the top,
Yeah.
electric franchise tax and
Is that a change number there?
And the electric
utility
service
service tax.
you see, it just seems like that's the revenue we're getting is only not even 100 grand. And we're saying that we're going to be getting,
Maybe it's lumpy, but I don't know, maybe there's a good
well,
reason
that's,
for
there's,
it. Yeah.
One of the
it's gotta have
reasons
some kind
is
of,
that the numbers that are in that 23, 24, and I can see if I get them updated, are the numbers that were input when we started the budget entry in March.
So you haven't got April, May, June.
Right.
Okay,
so between April, May, and June, and then July
that's a 50%.
and August, we're gonna make up 190,000?
Our electric revenues for the utility and the franchise tax are highest during the summer because that's when utility bills are the highest.
But if you do the percentage math, right, October, November, December, and then we only have January, February, March. So we're missing 50% of that monies. You'd have to-
So the
It's not
year-to-date
just a matter
number
of
is really
20.
just through the end of March? It's not year-to-date.
October, November,
I
December.
believe it is,
But
yes.
January,
We only have
Because we
6
have brought
months
in
here.
more than
We
that.
have access to another 3 months.
So
That would be important to know, like you
Yeah.
said, all
But similarly then, if you look at the local government 1% sales tax, that's up in the top first category.
Mhm.
And that's at 107 through whatever that year-to-date number is, and we're only budgeting 150. It seems like that's under budget. You know what I mean? Like if that happens kind of consistently throughout the year, it seems like that's going to be over 200,000 this year. But maybe it doesn't happen that way. Maybe that's not how the pattern falls out.
Yeah, because currently we'd be at 157 if you just do rough math.
So is,
You threw in the 3 months of that there.
We're
Well, it's not 3
showing
months.
in here,
No, it is.
No, shit.
It's 3 months
This is
not
only through
in the
March.
blue, right. So we're
Right.
missing April, May, June.
Yeah.
Which is
To get
3
your,
is
and then you
half
got to
of
project it out
6.
to the end of the year.
Right, but 3 is half of 6, so it should be 50% times that added into it.
Yeah, I'm just saying, it seems like that's going to end up being way more than 150.
I agree.
Maybe not, yeah.
when we're looking at activity, which has been previously defined as year-to-date, up above it, it says 23 through 24. So are we talking about a 12-month period beginning in 23 and coming forward?
It's
That's our
supposed to mean
fiscal year,
year-to-date, but I
October
think,
1.
I think
Okay,
it's not updated.
so what we're looking at is from October 1st until,
March 30.
Only, I guess, through March.
Only through
because
March,
they
not
didn't get
through
all loaded
present
yet.
day.
so,
and your question on
Half a
the law enforcement. So the nice thing about the new system is I can pull it up and show you. Law enforcement fire service fees. That is actually what we collect from Briny Breezes and Gulfstream use.
Oh, yeah.
That's the
conduct.
contract.
That's
Okay,
right.
So those are contractual amounts.
Yep.
Um,
Forgot about that.
Great,
So that is not something that's subject to
that's answered.
whims.
All right, any other questions on revenues?
Well, just this FCT state grant, as we talked about. We're receiving it, we're not going to receive it until October. It's considered revenue for this fiscal year coming up.
Yes,
you said that was about 95% certain, I believe, right?
yes, All the funds that the FCT requested were approved by the governor. They didn't have any budget cuts, and we are on the list to be funded. However, their May meeting got postponed to August, so they haven't made their official awards.
And that comes through as revenue, it's not like a capital, it's not allocated to capital or anything like that?
No.
No restrictions.
Anything else on the revenues?
Nope.
All right. Nice, no rates, passing that on, commission. Any questions on the commission salary? How long has it
Such
been?
as it is.
Huh?
You'll notice that there is a significant change in what is budgeted for work comp. What I've done for the upcoming year is reallocated work comp based on how many people are in the department and what their classifications are. So whereas last year, rather than filing that as a general government and a commission expense, which had sometimes been done in the past, I've divided up that cost amongst each of the departments. Our work comp rates, previously, the insurance has been broken up by, I believe it's 45% of the rate goes to the PD, another 23% would go to what's called general government, because it's property and liability insurance. And then the remaining would be split up between the other departments, and then based by the number of employees and amount of assets that are in that department.
All right.
So you'll see a change in the workers' comp rates. You'll see
Liability has it there.
the liability insurance is looking at seeing an increase year over year.
But that's typical though for that.
We did see a minor increase in subscriptions, memberships, and educations. The reason for that, I'm gonna go into actual budget, because it's gonna be easier for me to show you guys where all this is going. So in the education portion of the commissioner's budget,
Is that my fault?
well, no, not
Is that you
particularly
can
your
all
fault.
those cruises?
We have,
Yeah,
we budgeted 1,200 for emo trainings. That's to allow 2 commissioners to go to the emo training. 1,200 for the Florida League of Cities Conference, in case an additional commissioner wanted to go next year. $100 for legislative action days, which is the cost for the days in Tallahassee in January. And then an additional $300 for the legislative conference in November, before the legislative session starts.
All right, well,
So minor changes.
That sounds kind of small.
you still lowered it by 20 grand to $18,000, $17,000 the budget, so.
Because of the workers' comp. I'm sorry, Lynn, I missed on page 3. I'm sorry. We were just looking at the first page of revenue.
Yeah.
Second page of revenue, I know you and I have talked about this on Thursday. The interest earned category, line 360, or budget category 360.
I have not been able to get you the monthly balance
Okay, sure.
report.
What I'd like to, we don't need to discuss it or debate it here, but I think the 300 is probably, I'm gonna probably think that's low. And I'd like to see what it looks like if we assume the same cash balances by month and assume a 5% interest rate. I just don't see interest rates dropping much below that for the coming year.
How much more do you think it's gonna be?
It could be meaningful. 100 plus, more than 300. I mean, look at where we are now, we're at 232.
Right.
And
And that's
we
only
got-
6 months.
Yeah.
and we didn't have the money invested until.
So it actually could be double that number.
Well, yeah, it could be, it could be materially higher, which will enter into the conversations around the mill rate and all that. So I'm happy to do the calculation if you can just give me the data points, and I'll ship it right back to you.
All right. All right, moving on to,
And you get to the town manager's budget.
town manager.
Um,
I got a quick question.
Yes.
The overtime and vacation pay, and then you have vacation pay. Why are they listed twice?
All right. The column that is overtime and vacation pay
Mhm.
is technically what we budget for potential hurricane pay. So if we were to declare an emergency for a hurricane, per our policy and per FEMA's reimbursement, as the executive of the town, I'm eligible for overtime. Our overtime rate is 2.5 times the hourly rate, so that is what that overtime and vacation line is. The second line, vacation pay, is a budgeted amount that we have, and it is in every department in case employees decide to take a payout of their up to 45 hours of vacation time rather than take the time off. And that is a policy that is in our employee handbook. So we have to budget for that possibility.
Is that a use it or lose it kind of a thing?
It is not. It is, although there is a maximum amount of vacation and personal time that you're allowed to carry, any employee, even if they're below that, can submit for up to 45 hours of their vacation time to be paid out as cash.
So do we have a reserve on the books for accumulated unpaid out vacation?
It goes through our OPEB, yeah.
So is that 2.5 times salary per hour overtime? Is that a state mandate or?
That is
That's
what FEMA
really-
will pay, and that is what the commission adopted as a policy several years ago. That is your hurricane.
I've never heard of something like
That
that.
is your hurricane
Does it seem a little
overtime
steep?
policy.
So that's a hurricane policy on overtime and vacation pay.
Right.
Okay,
does
so
that
is there
mean
any way we
it's
can
hard to
change that? Because it should be overtime and,
You got paid overtime at 2.5?
It should just say overtime slash.
Overtime,
But
yeah.
it's a, the account heading is a standard account heading from GASB's Generalized Government Chart of Accounts.
all right, because it is on every,
Yeah, it's on
every employee and every,
Because they're all eligible for it.
all right.
So there's that. You'll notice that retirement is going up. FRS has already announced their increase in their FRS rates that go into effect July 1. Health liability or health and life insurance, there's an increase calculated based on what we're estimating, which is a 15% increase. The only other significant is travel and per diem, as well as subscriptions, education. Now the travel and per diem is spelled out.
Yeah, if you annualize that, that's 11,000. So why are you budgeting? I mean, what is that? And
Travel and per diem is calculated as hotel, food, and mileage for the Florida League of Cities annual conference. You should have a footnote section behind each page that lists what each of these columns breaks down to.
but why are you only budgeting 4,900 if it's looking to be more like 11,000 this year?
I'm not looking to be spending 11,000 on traveling per diem this year.
Did most of it already happen? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
I'm saying this year to date, 5,500 that's through the end of March.
But she's saying she did all of it almost.
Most of it was paid for by then. I'm not planning on going to the Winter Summit on AI, so that is not in here. You've got legislative action days, you've got the Florida Public Human Resources Association Conference, Legislative Policy Conference, or Legislative Policy Committee meetings, the FCCMA Annual Conference, and legislative days.
Okay, I have a question about the FCCMA, because in your contract, and we just need to clarify it, it says every other year.
No,
Right,
it says
Christie?
every other year, 50% of the ICMA.
My recollection was the FCCMA was every other year. So should we change the contract or?
The contract is,
Okay, Christie's looking at.
because I agreed to pay for 50% of the costs of ICMA and go every other year, which is different than FCCMA.
All right, so the gas and oil and maintenance, are you taking home a car or what are you doing with that?
No, that is my $3,600 car allowance.
All right, because you didn't take anything, there was no activity on the 23, 24.
I'm not sure why Gene is not
I
accounting
mean, you
for it.
got two
the
goose
right-
eggs there, and I got 3,600,
Yeah.
2,300 respectively.
Yeah, that is my car allowance. I'm not sure why it's not going under the right line item.
Do we have any idea what that was, those two items?
The oil operating,
I mean, we're supposing that they're in between that number that you're proposing on the budget, right?
my operating supplies, gas, and oil, my car allowance is $300 a month.
No, I get all that. I'm saying you have zeros in the activity. I'm just saying that you're proposing that this new budget, it'll be around 2,300 and the operating supplies will be 3,600. It's just hard to, when there's nothing showing of what had been used, it's hard to see how is that going to be that much?
Well, my guess is right now she is not accounting for the operating supplies and gas and oil and the,
So it's accounting on our side.
It must be someplace else.
So
yeah,
if
All right, well, that's fine.
Yeah, she's accounting for it somewhere else.
you say $300 a month, right?
Maybe just
Yes.
make a note.
So
to
it's
yourself to have it.
$1,800
Yeah.
if we're halfway through the year.
Correct,
So that should show, instead of zero, 1,800.
yes.
And for repair and maintenance, who knows?
For repair and maintenance, that is general, it's not a vehicle repair and maintenance. That is if my computer needs repair, if
Yeah.
monitors need repairs, that's what the repair and maintenance is.
I do have one question about insurance liability, hazard damage. Budgeted at 388 on what I'm looking at, activity 365, and then requested 2,263.
Isn't that the reclass?
Again, that's readjusting them to get the allocations of those insurances to the right department.
It was all in the commission and they reallocated it to all the
Right.
departments. So ours went way down. It got pushed.
Yours went down from
25,000 down to
to
2,000.
50, yeah.
We're just pushing it around to the appropriate departments.
Mr. Mayor, looking at Lynn's contract, the provision regarding professional development states, the town shall only be responsible for 50% of the reasonable and customary registration and travel expenses in accordance with Florida law and town policies for Ms. Ladner to attend the ICMA conference every other year. 50% every other year is what the town's responsible for.
But that doesn't cover the other professional development expense.
Correct, that's the only one that has that provision in it.
So to your point, we're satisfied with that answer or? Okay. All right, any more on the town manager? All right, moving on to general fund, town clerk.
So I have a question, if we can flip between town manager salary and town clerk. We got the town clerk at the same level, 24, 25, but Lynn, you go up. Is
I
that the
started-
COLA or is that the,
No, I started to put in the updated salaries at a 5% like we normally budget. And I was doing it at home and apparently I didn't hit save. And so the increased salaries for the departments below the commission and the town manager did not save into the system when we did the budget.
So are the-
Understated by 5% of.
Yes.
We're talking about merit-based
Yes,
raises.
that's
So everybody got a 5%.
anticipating everybody to get a 5%. That's what we always budget but it is not shown. That's why I said in my PowerPoint that information was not in here. It was still fluid.
What's the total? So total payroll is roughly, and then we gotta take 5% of that. So just to figure out kind of how much we're understated.
Total amount of our wages, for all departments, we are going from a anticipated annual wage of $2,489,698 to, I just want to make sure I've got all those in there, to $2,744,506. Your largest increases are in your police department. The clerk's department is going from 241,138 to 245,696. That's just at that straight 5%. Building department, 125,2 to 128,385. Public Works, 142,956 to 145,393. That's actually lower than 5% because we've had a transition, so the new employee is making less than what the employee was budgeted for last year. And the police department adding a placeholder amount of $95,000 for 2 new lieutenants, which makes a significant difference. And just doing the 5%, we're going from $1,423,338 to $1,655,925. Dispatchers, 407,441 to 418,858. And again, that's just with the straight 5%.
Can I ask a question? When the first numbers you started with, when we asked about, so it's for all payroll.
Yep.
It's going from 2,489,000 something to 2,744,506. That's a 10% increase.
But that includes some new people, it's.
But that includes 2 new
And they're in the budget,
positions that
right?
weren't.
But the new people are in the budget.
Okay,
That includes
okay.
the 2
Lynn, I'm just
new
looking for
people.
what's missing. So what's missing is the increase that you got at 0, but I guess we want it to really be at 5%. Can you just give me that number? Is that like 150,000?
As you can see, all total at the top, on the screen, direct total labor costs are going from 2,489,689 to 2,744,506.
And that's not considering the negotiations with the police department? That's not considering the,
No, that does have something in there, you said.
That it would have them staying at the straight 5% that is normal.
So I'm not,
That's the 10%.
I'm apparently not being clear on what I'm asking.
what about,
So in our budget that you've got here in our book, I think you're telling me you do not have 2,744,000.
Correct.
I'm trying to figure out how much short are you? And I don't think it's the difference between 2,489 and 2,744. I think it's a much smaller difference than that. I think it's like 150 or something. I'm just trying to do it in my head. Do you understand what I'm saying? You're missing 5% on everybody but you, I think.
Can we just back out the 2 new
Which I think
police
is like
positions
150,000.
to get to the right number?
Because the way our budget is put together, all wages are broken up into individual departments. It's hard to come up with a report that will show just that.
I don't need a report. I'm just trying to ballpark it. I'm trying to figure out how much we've understated our costs in the book you gave us. And I'm thinking that's about 135 or 140,000. Because if I take 5% times last year's 2.5 million, it's going to be kind of about that, right?
Yes.
So isn't that like?
Yeah, 130.
did you figure any money in for the chief or the dispatchers?
5%, in that 2.7 is 5% for
Did you?
all of them, yeah.
But the point is that's not in the budget.
No.
Right.
None of that's in here. So we're understated by about 130,000. I just want to try to understand where we're at. Okay.
Let me see if I can. do this.
That's all I need.
Yeah,
for
he
that.
has-
I'm good. You don't have to.
I got 125,000 about.
Yeah.
Did you?
To
5 times 25.
labor. Budget. All right, any other questions on the town clerk? Moving on to the Eagle. Oh, gosh. Is there gonna be a reduction in legal this year, Christie?
Yeah,
Mr. Mayor, that depends on you.
Look, this legal special counsel,
There is professional services, which is Christie's contract.
Yep.
And then there is legal special counsel funds that are set aside as we do have current litigation that's outstanding that we potentially would be billed for by special counsel.
Outside counsel,
Yeah.
not Christie.
Right.
yeah, I get that, but are we kind of done with the outside litigation?
I would love to tell you yes, but that would be misleading if I told you yes.
So you need this as a safety valve, that's what it sounds
Yes.
like.
That's a little big safety valve.
It's a big safety.
Pay $183,000?
I can see when we're in the throes of
It
the,
is the equivalent of what we
Yeah.
spent 2 years ago on special counsel.
excuse me?
It is the equivalent of what we ended up spending 2 years ago on special counsel for outside legal assistance.
Yeah, but that was special times.
And
We're approaching special times.
I
We're
can think of
revisiting.
at least 3 active suits that are still in very early stages.
What's your opinion?
Mr. Mayor, I'm aware of the pending Cooksey code enforcement related pending litigation. There are a couple notices of potential claims that we have received that have gone to outside counsel. Not sure of the other pending.
Lucibella.
Yes, that one. The town technically is no longer in that one. We're obviously keeping an eye on it, and it's not set for trial yet. I'm not sure if there's any other pending litigation because the right-of-way case was resolved in the town's favor.
Those were the ones that I was thinking of.
So all I'm asking is, can that number be cut by 25, 30, 40%?
I would defer that to Christie in her determination.
I have a call and assist to speak to one of our outside counsels today, which are involved in these cases. I will ask them to find out, where they anticipate this going next year to see if we can get maybe a better number that's more accurate to what's going on right now.
And then they'll charge us for that information. Okay, it just seems like we went through the tough time and we're out of it, so therefore,
Yeah, why
Budget should
put
be
so much in there? All right. Moving on to general government.
You
Oh,
forgot
I'm
to
sorry,
skip the
general fund,
boards.
sorry.
You skipped the boards.
Boards,
The board
appointed boards.
is really, really expensive.
Any questions on appointed boards? All right, well, now we'll go on to general government.
what's happening with the covenant from the drainage loan? That at 6 months, we were already above budget.
We are trying to figure out if an extra loan payment was made.
who's trying to
How
figure
would
that
that
out?
happen?
Jean and I and the auditor, because the bank pulls it out. And they're also finding with the town hall loan that the amortization schedule is off. That's what
Jesus.
that Bank of America may not have been pulling. We had a problem with Bank of America back in 2012, according to the auditor, where they failed to properly pull the correct amount for our interest and premium, or interest and principal payments out. In finalizing the FY '23 budget, he's finding that may be the case again. So we may have to do some catch up on the town hall loan. But the drainage loan, it's either I have done more journal entries than I should have, or they've taken an additional payment. And so we're going through the system to
You might-
identify
So
you
that.
might just
when
say,
did this
is
happen?
it possible it's just reclassed from, because look at the covenants for town hall loan and debt service.
And that is
Are way
possible
low.
as well.
I'm guessing they probably just put it in the wrong account, but we should obviously figure that out. Because we're way under, we're 300 under.
When did all of this happen?
In this, in the current fiscal year, FY.
I realize that, but I mean, like, last month, 6 months ago, and we're just,
Last 2 weeks.
okay.
So in the budget that I'm looking at, are those catch-up payments taken into account, or you're waiting to find out what they
We're
are?
waiting to find out
If they're already catch-up.
if there are any.
So this mistake was made by Bank of America?
Potentially, yes, that they did not take out adequate.
It sounds like we really don't know. We've got to do more analysis on, right? We don't. It might just be a reclass, a bad classification.
So replace Public Works pickup truck with a utility truck. What's that all about?
Where are we?
It's the one John got on the last page, 52
I
grand,
had that question as well.
Where are you? Way at the end.
page 18. I mean, you got a fleet of vehicles that rival much bigger cities. And they're all brand new, so I'm wondering why are we replacing one of those trucks?
Well, there are two line items, just in my notes. 45,000 to replace Public Works truck with the utility truck. And then there's another line item of 52.5 for a utility truck.
Right.
2 trucks?
No, should not be 2 trucks.
Yeah, to me, that's
This shows up twice
$97,500.
toward the end.
Porsche for Billy.
Right.
The reason it's showing up twice, the 5,200,
52,000?
it's, if you'll notice in blue, it's 302,519, that's a capital expense. That didn't get reclassified out of the capital expenses when I was putting it in. That 52,500, or in 5,000 for Public Works tools have been reclassified over on page 1 of that footnotes, under 001, 519, 106, 506, 400. That's the 45,000, and that is the Public Works tools of 1,500.
Okay, but it's still on the finance recommended, it's still on both columns, 45 and the
Right.
52.
And we can take both of those out of the ones on page 2 of the footnotes. We can take the 52 and
So we're gonna take out the 45 or the 52?
take out the 52.
Do we need a new truck? Is this just, I
Billy,
mean, is this a discussion, or we just?
Yes, this is a discussion right now.
it is a discussion.
What exactly, is it the one he's looking for with the lift on it or something? So can you next, on the next meeting, kind of
Yeah.
clarify why we need another new truck, please?
And you put 30,000 in for lobbyist. Have we located someone, talked to anybody about budgeting for this? Like, where did that number come from?
Where's that?
That number came from as a preliminary discussion with a couple of other communities and what they're spending. And I have had a lobbyist from Politicom reach out asking if we would be interested. So I have not, because they just reached out last week, had a chance to meet with them, find out what they could do. And before I did that, I wanted you, Commissioner Cassidy, to sit in on that meeting with me as well.
Okay.
So is the
That-
question?
Where's
we
that,
need to-
So
where's
what-
that item?
What happened, it's on, what line is it? We went for the appropriation for $250,000, and we had great support from our rep, we had great support from our senator. All was well. It got through the Senate and the House, and then the governor vetoed it. And I had been warned in Tallahassee, if you don't have a lobbyist, it's very
It's gonna be
difficult.
vetoed, yeah.
So,
So we're making a decision, the commission needs to make a decision whether we want to hire a lobbyist.
well,
Instead of just putting it in
what
the
do we
budget.
want to seek from the state next year? That's the bigger.
We haven't
that's
even
the
made the
question.
decision whether we're gonna hire a lobbyist, so we need to make that decision now. don't we?
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah,
Right? So do we want to spend $30,000 on a lobbyist because we think it'll help us get more grant money?
it's not grants. The grants are
But
already
it-
approved by the
oh,
state.
okay,
This is
money.
for state appropriations, that the governor has the final say. And yes, I think it's important that we have a lobbyist. Now, just having gone through this exercise, it looked so good, and then,
All right, well, we
Did
can put
have
it,
a
leave it in there
discussion
for
about
now.
Several lobbyists previously.
nope, I did in my one-on-one meeting. Christie was gonna look into some. Lantana just successfully got an appropriation for something, and the Coastal Star talked about the lobbyist that they used.
I'd say try it for a year,
Mhm,
Yeah, I mean.
Definitely.
Let's say leave it in
Should
there
pay
for
for
now.
itself, right?
but we're making a decision now.
if it doesn't
We'll leave it
pay
there for
itself,
now, but then after other meetings we go through, if we need the money, we can change our mind.
Okay,
You see what I'm saying?
I see what you're saying, but I think we ought to commit to it.
There's a
Well,
great
we are
return,
today.
there's a great return on investment should it work the way we hope it will work.
Correct.
It doesn't work, we don't do it.
All right, so any other items?
Wait, yes. BSNA,
Yes,
16,000
Where are you, Karen?
Which one?
underneath
that's it.
lobbyist in the notes.
Yeah, BSNA. Cameron.
16,100. We budgeted and collected money for the BSNA building department last year. What is this?
This is the finance, the HR, the timesheets. This is our annual.
This is an
software.
annual fee?
This is an annual fee for all of our finance and everything like that.
And then archives, so what did I write down? Social.
Archive Social
What is
is
that?
the software system that we use that basically monitors any social media associated with the town and archives it so that if there is a public records request, we can access it. It also proves that if somebody posts a comment or we post a comment on any of our social media sites, that we have not deleted it, we have not blocked anyone from having access to our sites.
We don't have any social media.
We have a Facebook page, we have a Nextdoor page. Yeah,
Who's the administrator for those? I didn't know we had Facebook.
Yeah, we've had Facebook for years.
Another question I had, town functions and promos.
Where are
So,
you? Can
the
you,
bottom of this page,
What's the
page
number?
16.
Okay, thank you.
So-
Page 16.
Last year, we increased the budget from 9,000 to 16,000 for town functions. And we didn't have any. We had, I know there was the town manager conference or the town clerk, or lunch and town clerk conference, and we had talked about this. We collected that 16,000 and now we're gonna put another 10,000 in the budget.
Well, as was mentioned in the May meeting, the commission has suggested us having a volunteer coordinator
Right?
to put on town events. This would provide that person with funds to do those events.
Well, we already have the funds though. What of the 16,000 that we
We
collected
don't
last
have
year?
the funds. Funds that are budgeted last year zero out at the beginning of a new
So
fiscal
we
year.
We budget.
we moved that to reserve.
You understand
Yeah.
my point though? But, yes, but we,
No. Yeah, I don't think you
You have to
understand.
rebudget it.
The money,
You have to,
if it's not used, it's gone into reserves.
It's
Okay.
You
fungible.
gotta
It's
reappropriate.
fungible, yeah, it's not, there's no little pot that says we get to use that.
all
You
right.
gotta rebudget it.
So we got,
So we're gonna go with 10,000.
Oh, wait, and then town shirts,
Where are you now?
which one?
town logo shirts, tops.
Which page?
Oh,
I
yeah,
think the next page.
505.220.
220?
Mm-hmm.
How far down?
Halfway down the page.
Middle of
17.
page 17.
519, 106, 505, 220.
Do we have logo shirts?
We do not. The town commission used to have shirts with the town's logo and it would say mayor or town commissioner on it. Most communities, their employees have a shirt that has the logo on it that they wear.
What's Billy wear?
Terry, me and you have,
Billy wears
me
a uniform, that's.
and you had a town logo shirt
Does
all
it
those
say
years
Ocean
ago.
Ridge?
It says Ocean Ridge,
You
yes.
still wear it?
I have one.
It's probably hanging up in the closet with mildew on it.
I was gonna say,
So,
I have one that we dug out of the archives and it's very outdated. to say
right,
the
well,
least.
the Public Works Department does have shirts. that
They have
logo.
uniforms.
That's a
Right, but
uniform.
It says Ocean Ridge.
Right.
yeah, but this is for the town commission, this
When would
line
when
item.
would we wear these?
You're gonna wear it
Today.
everywhere.
Christmas.
When you, yeah,
You,
Yeah, that's the
generally, commissioners wear
When
them
you go to
when they
League
go-
of Cities
You
meetings
can
with
include
me.
mine if that would save us some money.
yeah, but that's gonna be more than $850, I can tell you that right now. Because I know what I paid for t-shirts and embroidered shirts, and it's a lot more than $850, so.
Embroidered.
Use.
Now, do we have something we really
Jeff
want?
Industries can do it.
Yeah, you'd stamp it,
It looks cheap.
cheesy.
Yeah.
But do we really, is that something we really want?
No.
I
Yeah,
don't think so.
I don't think I do either.
Why would we
I don't-
spend
I
money
don't-
on that?
I have a name tag. That's good enough.
How'd
Did you get
that?
one for all of us?
Would you like to come
Yeah,
to
is it
to
brass?
meetings
Is it
with me?
brass? No.
League
They
of
got me a
Cities?
sign when I
Come to-
became a full commissioner. I didn't have a sign until it was public.
All right, so you want to kill the
Yes.
the logos?
Yes.
Yeah.
Let's kill that.
Kill
I mean, I
that.
know it's only
Big
$850,
savings.
but still, it's
Then
$850.
another question I had, employee tuition reimbursement program.
Same question. Where?
Um,
Next.
4/5 of the way down, the same page,
Same
17.
page.
Employee tuition
It's on
reimbursement.
page 17, towards the bottom.
$17,500.
Yeah. What's that, specifics about that?
That is the reimbursement policy that is part of our personnel policy, that once you have been with the town for a year, if you are taking additional, like college classes or certification classes towards improving your position with the town supplies a tuition reimbursement.
Who approves that? Is that, you approve that?
Their department head approves it first, and then I do.
So what's been the history on that?
Yeah, what, I was just gonna ask.
Katrina.
I mean,
I
we really, yeah,
know-
Katrina did, but I mean, how, was it $17,500?
I know Sergeant Stang in the police department has used it frequently. I do believe that prior to that, the clerk before Kelly, Carla, had used it.
Okay, so
Chief Jones has used it.
it's a valid expense and it's been around that kind of money every year?
Yeah.
Okay.
And if it's not all used, does it go into the general fund?
It
reserve?
just goes into the general fund if it's not used.
How much,
Everything
how
is
much
not
have we
used
been
goes-
spending?
It varies from year to year. We've been spending between 10 and the 17.5. It depends on how many employees are taking classes and whether they get an adequate grade to obtain the maximum reimbursement.
These are for credit, college credit?
Yes.
Well, I would think that some of the police have to go to these upgraded education.
They're not required for college. We have
No.
career developmental classes that we budget for in our budget, and we.
Separate
Separate,
from-
separate from this, yeah.
This is college reimbursement or college or your.
I don't have a problem with it.
Me either.
Yeah.
All right,
I'm just curious.
anything else?
Where's the town hall painting? Is that?
That's on 35,000. I saw that.
Where's that?
That was,
Yeah, the 35,000 for town hall painting.
well, it's more, it's.
And then there's an additional 15 for painting in the police
Where are you
department.
guys?
I don't remember where.
That's right here. It's the first page, maintenance of town hall facility, painting, flooring, updates, et cetera. Do you have a plan for, I know you have a plan for all that?
Yeah, page, that-
It's on page 16,
60.
3/4 of the way down, 16.
I have Billy working on a plan.
Okay.
Getting the cost for the painting versus the cost for the flooring updates. We have money in the 24 budget. And what we may do is do them as sort of a crossover project where part of it uses the F-24 money and the rest is the 25 money so that we can get all of the carpeting redone, all of the walls repainted, things like that. And then the police department has additional on their side, painting and flooring that they want to do.
Okay.
So it's a total of 50.
I had a question, nothing to do with the budget. So I
Only
came
50.
in this morning.
Yeah.
I don't know, 10-ish, 11-ish. And there was a gentleman out there in a public works uniform with an incredibly long pole with a feather
Oh, yeah, I saw
duster.
that.
And I thought this is the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen. He's cleaning the front of our entrance with the feather duster. Why doesn't he just blast it with a hose?
Is that in the budget?
I would have to
I
ask.
was just looking at the guy saying, this is how you clean the interior of the house, not the exterior.
He may
Well,
have just
then
been
people would have to
removing
get wet.
spider webs. He may have just been removing spider
Anyway.
webs.
Thought it was, I've never seen it before. Just a side point.
All right, so we're good with the 35,000 for the maintenance.
Plus 15.
Yeah, there's 15. and-
15 in the police department
Yeah.
on top of that.
Well, it's gotta get painted. How old is this carpet now?
I don't think this carpet's bad.
16 years.
16 years old?
Everything in here is 16 years old.
Maybe I'm cheap, but I think it looks in fine shape. There's only one stain back there someplace.
That's from the Christmas party when you spilled your wine.
Yeah.
Okay, is that it? Is that yours? All right, move on to the PD.
We have the same 5% problem here.
Had the same 5% problem, but that was, we covered that in that $2 million total.
Yeah.
Because that covered all of them.
Okay, overtime's going away. Is that because there are 2 new police officers coming on board?
Where,
Overtime, actually, you should have gotten it, the corrected, the finance recommended is 125,000.
didn't get, yeah, it didn't carry over.
It didn't carry over.
I
So
see.
if you're
It's
gonna
a
have 2
500.
new, wouldn't you think it would go down if we've got 2 new
Finance
officers coming on?
Yeah.
No, overtime is for,
Go to the left.
it's in dispatch, it's for any vacancy. You know, vacations, sick time, we have to cover the road because 24/7 operation with seats in the butt. I mean, butts in the seat on the road, we have to maintain.
Okay, I'm just trying to
So
understand.
finance recommended shows 120.
Mhm.
Okay.
So it just needs to be added back to the requested.
Is that 125 plus 5%?
No, the 125 is the corrected amount.
So should we, on the police budget, everyone keeps mentioning it's a union year. Should we deal with that now or just
So we should kind of,
throw in a general number?
One of the challenges with throwing in, we're gonna have to throw in a general number, but we currently are dealing with a seconds union has filed for authorization to represent our officers as opposed to our current union.
The second you?
There are apparently some officers that would like to change their collective bargaining affiliation, and so
They're currently with PBA and they're entertaining FOP. There's a PERC hearing that's set in September, I believe.
So we're going to need to put some sort of a placeholder, which is why I'm saying 5% in, because the contract will not be negotiated before the budget year begins.
Okay, 5% is fine by me.
But I do have, and so we do have employees that aren't,
Right,
which are the dispatchers, and if they're working lieutenants and myself,
correct.
that aren't covered with or represented by the union contract.
and we already put that in there, the 5%, right?
It's just
Right,
not
we're
reflected.
planning to put the 5%, and what we
Okay.
would do is put 5% for all
Standard merit that
employees.
they always have.
Does that hurt our negotiating if we put something?
I can't
Well, see,
imagine
that's
they'd
what
ask
I
for
would,
less
I
than
wouldn't do,
5.
I wouldn't put anything in it because then is that gonna,
Why don't we leave it at 0? We
Bring
just
your-
know that, we know what the number is for 5%, but it just seems like it would hurt our
I'd
bargaining.
fire
position.
my.
well, no, the
rep
5%
too
for
if
the
he-
chief and the
unless
dispatchers,
it's
not the 5% for the union, because that would hurt our
That's what I'm
negotiations.
saying.
Yeah,
The negotiated portion,
we
leave it
do.
at 0 for now. And then
As
We just have a note that
For the
says-
dispatchers, they do have some wants for the next coming year. I don't know if you want to hear them today or at a later date.
Sure, right?
Yeah,
It's what we're here for. Just give us a number.
It's not an increase in salary. what we have is two of our longtime employees, dispatchers, the dispatch manager who's been here 16 years, and our most senior dispatcher are at their top out of their salaries. Currently, they get a 2% cost of living. They're asking for a 3.5% cost of living as an incentive with a reputable, with a passing evaluation. So we go up 1.5% COLA.
Fine by me.
Problem is, we do that for them, are you raising that same for all employees that max out that are not collectively bargained?
How many employees is that? One?
Right now,
It's 5 employees that are represented by this. But
It
it would
makes
only
sense.
affect 2 currently that are at the top out. The others are new employees that take them several years to get to that point.
How many employees do we have in all that are here that long?
In dispatch?
No, I'm just saying throughout
in general,
16
Gene
years.
is at,
We know Gene.
Gene is relatively close. Billy is pushing, he's got over 15 years, so he could potentially be pushing the top of his range.
I didn't know if you want to hear this because they're not being represented by the comp study and they're not being represented by the union.
So they're
They're
asking for
not.
a one-time 3.5% versus,
No, it's a 3, if you're a topped out employee.
yes.
They're asking to change
It's
our,
currently 2%, it would go to 3.
currently for any employee that is at the maximum of their salary range, the most they can get after following their performance evaluation is 2%.
Right.
As opposed to the 5% that other employees are eligible. They're asking for a change.
Just
From-
this year.
I presume they're asking for that to be a permanent change.
Right, because it's not a yearly thing. If a new employee would not receive this until 10, 15 years down the road, we currently have 2 employees or 2 of our long-term
That
employees.
have topped out, so
For
they,
retention.
But they're asking for it annually. They want,
Right, because
You get an
they're not gonna get a
annual-
5% anymore.
I guess they're not
To top
entitled to
out of
the
their
5
pay,
because
So
they
they
top.
would get a 3.5 instead of 2%.
I don't
I
know.
mean.
But would it make more sense to reconsider the overall salary range for those positions and
You could do
raise
that.
the
You
top
could
of
do-
the salary
You
range
could do that as well.
rather than changing,
But then in 2 years, you'd be topped out again if you X amount.
depending upon how much you raise the top of the salary range?
But that's gonna cause you negotiation problems when somebody wants a job. The salary range is gonna be way up here instead of here.
But
You know, we're talking about $1,500. It's probably, 100,000 salary and they want 1.5%.
It's a 1.5 increase for a topped out employee.
how about if we made it 3.5 limited to actual cost of living? If cost of living actually drops to where it's 1%, I don't know why we would give a 3.5%.
because it's not technically a cost of living, that is the maximum performance increase that they can get.
Well, but
Whereas
they're
all other
at the
employees,
top range, which means they're already paid the most they should get paid. And I can understand an argument around cost of living, period. If we need to change the range, we should change the range, but
We're just talking about the topped out folks, right?
yeah.
So I mean, yeah, why not just change the level? That kind of like your idea, just change the level of the range. I mean, 'cause you know how hard it is to get dispatchers?
Yeah, we're talking $1,500.
Yeah. But see, what happens is, like in Ocean Ridge, everything goes, if this guy gets it, then this person gets it, and this person, that's how it always works. So which would you rather do?
Well, if you increase their top, then they automatically go to 5%. Right?
Well, how do we do this? Next meeting, come back and give us kind of like an idea of which one is going to work out to the betterment of the town.
okay,
And then there was another, besides the COLA for topped out employees, the night shift differential of a line item, not counted to their base salary, was at $1 an hour. They're asking for the 2 people on nights, a $2 an hour line item per hour. 80-hour week is times 2 is $160.
they
Okay.
just got the $1 an hour night shift premium
Last year,
last
right,
year.
$1, they're asking
And
for
and so.
$1 more. That's what they're asking for.
Why don't they join a union and collectively bargain if they're
Oh.
gonna ask for things above and beyond what anybody else gets?
They're not represented by the union.
I said, why don't they
I'm their
join
voice is
a
what they're asking. two items is what they're asking for.
Put those, make sure you put
So,
those.
but they're asking for essentially another, let's see, 2184 times 2, another almost $5,000 a piece in salary just for the privilege of working on night shift, or for the challenge of working on night shift.
Yeah, privilege would be
Many
a
departments have
hard
night
word.
shift.
Yeah.
They're a small unit, there's not a lot of room to move around. It's a.
It's a hard position to fill.
6-person unit, and it's a 12-hour night shift, and somebody can get stuck in that position for a long time, and it's a nice incentive.
We'll go ahead and add that to the mini study, so we can review it on the next budget meeting, because we gotta make a decision on that pretty quick. The union thing, no way, I don't want. Right?
I think we're talking like $2,080.
No, you're at $2, you're talking each of them
No,
getting.
no, they already get $1, so we're only talking $1.
But if there's 2 of them, it's still 5,000.
Yeah, you might be right, there'd be 4,000, 4,100. All right, so what do we decide?
But it's not,
5,000.
So they do, they
It
come back with,
doesn't go towards their
5,000
pay.
annually. Just give them whatever
It's
they
a
want.
line item.
Oh, wait, but, no, I'm asking a question.
That's what we do. Every time the police asks for something, whether it's dispatch or the officers, the governing body says, give it to them. When other staff ask for stuff, the governing body says, oh, no, wait, we can't afford it. Which is why we're doing the comp and class study. And I understand,
I just
Scott,
said-
that you are representing them.
I asked if they wanted to hear their wants, because they are not represented by anybody, by the comp study, they're not represented by the union. We're in a budget meeting, I didn't know if they wanted to hear it.
That's what we're doing, is we're talking about it. And It's not,
And
it's
I
not
don't-
helpful to get combative.
I don't appreciate Scott blindsiding me in this meeting with those wants.
all right,
Because this is the first
duly
time I've heard
noted,
of it.
duly noted. So let's figure that out. For the next meeting, we can make a decision on that. Anything else on the PD? Now, there's one thing you gotta remember too. PD is 40, how much? 45, 42% of the budget? 43% of the budget? It just goes to show you how important the PD is in this town. All right.
Where
moving
did
on.
where did I see a number, police vehicles? Is that further, is that in this section?
It's in capital replacement of one
Capital,
vehicle.
that's where it was. Okay, we'll get to that then. All right.
All right, so let's move on to the building department.
Did I skip a page?
Where are we now?
Building
Page
department.
25 in your
Yeah,
book,
it's marked,
building department.
Page 25.
Yeah.
25 of 49.
How's that new guy working out?
Good. He did well when Billy was away. Well,
Tyler's working out great. Changes that I am requesting under this is, in the past, we budgeted 5,000 for a contracted arborist. I want to reduce that significantly to $1,000, basically, in case we have a situation where we need to work with an arborist.
which one was
Is
that?
that in the notes? I'm not seeing that. on page
Yes,
25.
that is on page 26, about in the first set of numbers under 01, 524, 108, 503, 100. It says town engineer, and then the next line item is contracted arborist.
What does the arborist do?
When there are disagreements between whether a tree is considered to be a historical or a tree of, what's the other word? We have a requirement in our ordinance that certain trees cannot be removed, and when in doubt, when people are requesting to remove those centennial trees, I think they're called, we bring in an arborist to determine whether it meets the qualification of the ordinance that prevents them from being removed.
I didn't remember that thing actually going through. I remember when it came up. I remember when they surveyed, but I didn't think it became part of our ordinances. It is?
It is part of our ordinances, yes.
So that's on someone's personal property? I mean, their own property?
Yes.
So there are certain trees that are considered,
Heirloom centenarian trees that require the
is there a
town.
list somewhere of all those trees, or do we wait until someone wants to take a tree out and then we figure it out?
We have a list somewhere for the tree inventory,
So why can't someone just look at the list of,
because when new developers come into town and are looking to do a site, they will contest whether the tree that they want to remove meets the requirements.
even if it's on the list, so then we have an arborist come in and say, yep, it really is.
Yeah.
Did we not have somebody building on a property that's on A1A that had two large ficus trees that were considered to be special? And he came before planning and zoning, I think, and said, well, I can do whatever I want, it's my property. And we kind of thrown this at him. And he says, well, okay, I'll take care of them. And he chopped them down, they're all gone. So did he threaten to sue the town over that? I think he did.
I do believe he did, but I don't believe.
The current owner or the former owner?
Whoever's building the place on that property.
Bella,
Oh,
Elnar's old place.
no, Al sold it to the builder.
Which is Bella.
Yes, it's Steve
I'm not
Petrucci,
being
who's also,
critical, I'm just stating what I think.
who's
happened.
also in violation on 113 Island Drive South. And
All right,
who's
so
also
what-
trying to build
all
a
right,
spec
so what
house
is
on
it? What
Hudson.
are we talking about?
I don't know, it's just, I was just a military.
Stay focused.
$1,000 for an arbor is fine.
Squirrel.
Okay.
I have a question, contract
Mhm.
building
Let's move on.
clerk, $100,000. What's that?
Well, as you know, we have reduced the amount of employees in the building department, but we have brought on a full-time building clerk to make sure that the department stays on track. We have,
That's Lindsay.
no, the contract building clerk is Danielle. At the current rate that we are being charged by hybrid for her for 40 hours a week, that is what the amount is going to be. I wanted that to be in here because what I would like the commission to consider is for us to offer to bring her on full-time as an assistant building clerk. We would no longer be paying a contracted rate. And I believe at the bottom of the building clerk's range that we have currently, which I have also included in the comp and class study for an assistant building clerk, that we could save somewhere between $30,000 and $45,000 on that position. And not need a contract. We would have a building clerk, we'd have an assistant building clerk, and we would have the part-time administrator.
Where's her
Who's the
salary
part-time
reflected?
administrator?
Huh?
Who's the part-time administrator?
Susan is the part-time administrator.
So if Danielle's brought on full-time, would her classification be such that she would not be charging overtime?
No, but our building department is being reduced, or being much more productive and seeing far less overtime, to where we would have, again, less overtime. I do believe the loaded value of the assistant building clerk would save us, as I said, between 30 and 45,000.
And it would be the exact same person?
It would be the exact same person.
And that's FICA, FRS, everything included?
Yeah.
Because they know how the
Yeah,
salary's
right.
one thing, and then on the next thing you know, it's all the other stuff coming along.
Aren't you kind of amazed this clerk is making, is it the $100,000?
It's
Well, no,
because
you're paying that to hybrid.
we're paying that to hybrid.
Right, but doesn't that
Is that
seem?
for full-time?
That's for
Steep.
full-time.
Yeah, but
They
they're paying all
They
the
charge
perks.
us $50 an hour.
Yeah,
They charge us $50 an hour for her time. If I brought her in at 47.5, her loaded rate with benefits is gonna cost us $76,925. That's if I bring her in at 47. If I bring her in below that, that's obviously going to change those numbers. That includes her insurances, that includes FICA and Medicare, that includes retirement, so that at that rate, her loaded effective hourly rate would drop to $36.98 versus the $50 an hour we're
So
paying.
you think
hybrid.
she's making about 47 right now?
I don't know, right now I base that on our current salary range for a building clerk. Bottom is 47. So.
But I mean, I wouldn't want to do it if by doing this, we didn't end up getting that person, we ended up getting.
Right,
somebody who
no,
wasn't doing
the
as good a
idea
job.
would be to basically hire her away from hybrid.
But-
Hybrid brought her on specifically to assist us.
Does our contract allow us to do that?
Is
Yes.
Hybrid gonna, is,
They
are you
don't
gonna get
care.
mad?
But let's just talk, let's go a different route.
Wait a minute, you just said something. They don't care.
They don't
That's-
care.
That's my question.
Okay.
But let's go a different route. The building permits revenue has dropped. Last year, it's dropped this year. So what are the odds if it drops again, we may not need that person? So we have now an employee where before we had a contractual employee and if there's no work, Hybrid can take them back. We can say, hey, look, we don't need her.
We just need.
Now we have
20
an
hours.
employee now, it's in-house and government doesn't seem to ever want to fire anybody, so. And I'm just saying is that if our permit revenue is dropping, that means we're not getting as many permits in. So I understand that you do need people to help out, but this person works for another company and at any time we can terminate that person because of the fact we may not have that much business to do.
But
So that's something else to figure. Is it worth the 25 grand that we're saving?
Yeah, to protect ourselves in case there's a reduction.
And the other thing is, can we simply just cut her by 10 hours a week? If it says, look, she
Let's do
doesn't
that
work on
too.
Fridays.
But can you,
If
would you do
the,
that?
if the permits keep going down,
But would they do that?
I don't know the answer.
Lynn, how does that contract work right now? Can we dictate the level of service we get on that, or is that a full-time person part of the contract?
I will have to take a look at it, because we had them bring her on as a full-time employee.
She might not be willing to work less than.
And for less than 40, they may want to reassign her somewhere else because they can get 40 hours a week from her working somewhere else.
So we need the answer next meeting.
Right.
It does seem like from all reports, the building department's working pretty well now.
Oh, it's doing-
I'm not sure if we should try to fix it,
Very well.
you know?
I just
Complaints are down.
wanted to make sure you
Zero.
understood the
Yeah.
contractual cost of that employee.
Fifty, almost zero. Okay,
How
What did we
about,
decide?
building official vehicle?
What did we decide there? I'm
She's
sorry.
gonna come
We're
back.
gonna
Gotta
come back next
in the
time.
next
Give the answers to the questions. Can we cut her hours, blah, blah, blah.
It's the last page, page 28. Building official vehicle, 38,549.
That is our lease payment on that through Ford Motor Credit. So if we are going to keep the Ford Ranger, we have to keep paying that. We can sell that vehicle. That is at the discretion of the commission to direct us to dispose of that vehicle.
Is somebody using it now?
The Ford Ranger, no.
it was the old building official, there you got the,
I thought Lynn took that car.
No, we have two vehicles in the building department. There is a
the
RAV4
RAV4.
and a Toyota Ranger. One was for Durrani, one was for Rob. We talked last year about my taking the RAV4. The commission decided against it.
We took the $300.
We have discussed with the police department continuing to keep the RAV4 so that they have a vehicle for when officers need to go to court or when they have
Schools,
training
training.
schools that are out of the area, things like that.
So you don't need the Ranger.
So we don't need the Ranger, but right now, unless the commission has directed me to dispose of it, we have to budget for the lease payment.
But why isn't it on the line item on the first page, machinery and equipment, 4,900, 3,500, and then the line item in the notes is 38,549.
Yeah, isn't that the total cost of the vehicle, 38,549?
Because
Is that
on the
depreciation?
first page, if you're talking about the page right there, that machinery and equipment is, does not include the capital project expenditure. That 38,459 is still under the 302 fund, not the one-on-one fund.
But it's
The
just,
38,000
it's
can't be the
confusing
lease.
because
So
the
that's gotta-
GL
And
number,
I'm sorry, when the footnotes printed, it printed for both funds, both 101 and 302. The 302 accounts are at the end.
No, but the question is, the 38,000 can't be the lease cost for an old car.
It's not an old car, it's only maybe a year and a half old.
But I mean, the lease can't be $38,000.
It is what we agreed on the lease fund.
It's impossible.
38,000 a
If
year?
you were paying two.
No, you're, yeah, because
2,000 a month would be 24,000.
so 500 might be 6,000 a year. So, yeah, the 38,000 was the total cost of the vehicle. So why is that on the budget, or unless we're gonna pay it off?
And logically, if we're gonna dispose of it, we're gonna have to pay it off first.
how, I guess simply, how was that 38,549 computed?
It was carried over from the previous year's amount that we budgeted for that vehicle.
For a
What do we
lease,
actually
that
that's-
doesn't
that
make any
because-
sense.
We might have budgeted for two.
And so I guess my question would be, what was the cost of the vehicle? And then we now are paying, what is the lease payment versus, is this the total amount left, the payoff for that vehicle? But even so, which the whole, this whole amount should not be in there.
Yeah, exactly. We'll get a surplus value.
So what are we adding this to the list of,
Yeah.
next
I got-
meeting?
I got mine. Let's go through it. 400. 506, 400. So you gonna check on that, Lynn? 38,549. Okay. Anything else in the building department? Let's move on to garbage.
Yeah, nice jump there.
What's that?
Nice jump there. No, the amount of money. I didn't mean.
By 150,000.
Me-
What?
I thought you said nice junk.
No.
But remember, we're.
Is that a new
We're
contract?
3 months behind.
We are, we do have a new contract on the agenda this evening.
And that represents the new contract of
It's going up
462?
50% over last year's budget amount. I don't know how it compares to actual.
But what has happened in the past is we set, just like I am recommending this evening, we set a rate for trash, et cetera, each year in a 5-year contract, which was the average amount of the contract. And then in the first 2 or 3 years, we collected more, so we were doing less. I'm gonna be honest, I don't know why last year was only 302,000.
312.
312.
Do you think that number might be off?
So is this a pass-through?
Yeah, it's a pass-through. We collect from all of the residents on an annual basis and pay it to our solid waste contractor.
Why wouldn't we just charge what it actually is each year and instead of like averaging it over 5?
Because then every year we have to go through raising our rates on our fee schedule, and it changes the amount.
What is it now,
Why is that?
265, Kelly? $265 a year? Yeah.
So why is that so difficult?
That's
to just change it
5%,
each
$12 bucks?
year? So you just change it each year. So we don't like build up a surplus in the first couple of years and then have a deficit.
Yeah.
The 460 that I calculated was based on the number of single and multifamily residential units. And I'll go back and look through that again, and the new proposed contract. Let me look at the solid waste numbers again.
So if we go back and look in revenue, presumably there's a corresponding almost offset somewhere in there. And I don't remember what
Yes.
the number was. I'm going back to look now.
Yeah, but still, we don't have an explanation for the huge jump.
For sure.
Right.
But I'd like to see if we even have a number that, garbage and trash, we had it at 340 this year. shows actual 320, which we know isn't even annual. Isn't even the annual amount yet.
Well, I think Linda said that these numbers are screwed up, so.
Yeah.
We need to dig into that.
Discuss it, yeah.
All right, let's move on to physical environment. So water distribution replacement engineering and planning, you figure that's gonna be 75 grand of that, of which project?
That is for us to plan a phased approach to
Okay.
replacing the water pipes.
Good deal. So, you know. Any more questions?
I'm sorry, which one is that? I'm sorry.
That's a-
I do.
Top
That's the
line,
water
75
distribution,
75
yeah,
grand?
Page 32,
Page 32.
professional services, water distribution replacement, engineering and planning, 75,000.
So that's to come up with a plan for replacing it over 20 years or 10 years, or whatever
Yes.
we decide we want to do.
Correct.
And which one's first and all that kind of stuff. Okay.
That sounds high to me.
It is, but it's gonna
No
be,
basis.
it's gonna be hard because of different, they're gonna charge us differently for the different size of pipes and what kind of pipe size and then what kind of valve size. I mean, they're all over the place. But maybe we can negotiate that down. I would hope so.
Did you get that? Because you have some reason to believe that's a reasonable estimate.
Yes.
Okay.
Any more questions on that?
Yeah, hold on a second.
Hold
Beach crossover repair,
Where are you?
page 33. What's that for?
Beach crossover repair, that is to go through, as we discussed at the last meeting, potentially put in the rubberized mats that keep the sand from blowing away and eroding away on each of our sand crossovers. Going through and working on the crossovers and trying to serpentine them so that we have less erosion issues. And maintaining those so that if storms hit, they don't have issues. Make any repairs to our stairs, our platforms, anything like that.
Is this based on what we've spent historically? Just,
Yes. I mean, to replace the entire stair platform, everything like that at
Anna.
Porter was $20,000. That wasn't doing any other soil erosion correction.
So this is just for repair as needed?
Yes.
There's no particular ones you're replacing?
If a storm comes in.
Storm comes in.
in the
And it'll
line
just be
for
actual cost, right?
outfall repairs, $50,000. We're working on a grant for this, for the outfall pipes, correct?
Which,
It's above that.
That's the
It's
fourth item down,
539,
Page
112,
33,
on page 33, near the top.
fourth item.
that is above and beyond what we're working on a grant. This is a number that came from Billy for, we have at least one stormwater pipe that needs to be completely cleaned and regrouted. And that is the estimated cost.
Where's that? So I know there's one on Sabal, but that, a homeowner's paying for that.
No, this is one that needs to be grouted and cleaned. I think it is on Inlet K or Island, one or the other.
I got another question for you.
Yep.
I got wet well maintenance from Tropical, Woolbright, and Coconut.
Yep.
And I got wet well maintenance, Tropical, Woolbright, and Coconut. I got twice.
And again, it didn't get taken off of the capital plan, the second one. instead of the 302.
Now, what is exactly the wet well? So we should take one of these 15,000 out here?
Yeah,
The pumps, you were talking about pump station upgrade?
Is it the wet well, like in Chapel, where you're taking out the thing and cleaning out the bottom of it?
it's when you take the electronics, the pumps, everything else
Okay.
out like that, and
All right, so one of these should be,
Where's that?
this one here, it's on page
Oh.
33.
page 33,
Yeah.
the
Where
one,
you
Okay.
seeing
It's
it
a double.
duplicated though? I got it here.
Yeah, and also down here.
Is that the pump station down below?
The same exact
Gotcha.
line.
So that's just an error.
So take one of those out. Now, could you explain the Hudson Seawall thing again? Because here it says 114,000 and before we had as a revenue 50 grand, right? So that's what we're anticipating getting as a grant?
we're anticipating to get 50% of that as a grant.
50% of the 114?
Yes,
Okay.
But you're saying if we don't get a grant, then we don't do it at all?
That's what we decided last year.
that was what the commission decided last year.
Now, when's the last time we bid this out?
The Hudson Seawall,
When we
we haven't
did the grant
officially bid it out
application.
because
Oh.
No.
we haven't,
No,
Because that seems high. too.
Lisa did that.
Did you?
yeah, Lisa did the estimate for that.
All right.
You had pipe catch basin grouting at 60 grand,
Where's that?
farther down.
Okay, that's that's separate from the 50.
No, that's the right one. It needs to come off the top
So get rid of the 50 on the top?
for the,
The storm drain maintenance?
yeah, for the storm drain maintenance outfall repairs.
They're both the same thing.
Yeah.
You sure about that?
That
Are
doesn't
you
sound,
sure?
And then my question about the one on Sabal, you noted that on the next page, and you have a $10,000 cost here, but the homeowner's paying for that, which I don't understand, but
That's for any potential costs that we end up having to pay. He's putting it in, but we've got easement costs that we have to pay for. I know there's been legal costs from Christie, things like that.
Let's go back one real quick, make sure I'm right here. Storm drain maintenance outfall repairs, we're taking that out because it's the same thing as Inlet K Island pipe catch basin grouting?
Yes,
It doesn't sound the same.
and I can double check with Billy.
Yeah, definitely,
Let's
because
double
check.
you're gonna need storm drain maintenance, and that's not part of fixing.
That's not foreign picture. Yeah.
So the big items on this page, I'm sorry, the valve can and insertion valves, that's the appropriation project?
And what we had hoped, before we found out, and that's why I got the 15,000, is that we would continue anything that wasn't completed in the appropriation project. With the appropriation project having not been funded, right now I have 15,000 in there for beginning the project, because we still need to begin the project. We would just have to phase it if we're not going to get the
I
appropriation.
show 500,000. Right,
Right.
500,000?
Right, but this would be just a few at a time. That's with the 15,000. We would start a few at a time because we need $500,000 to do the whole project.
So, but I show that you do have $500,000 there. Am I missing something?
It didn't get funded, but we're gonna go out for another appropriation, but we still need to start the project. The $500,000 would not have covered doing all of the valves and valve can and insertion valves throughout the
I
town.
think the question you're
You
being
have
asked is
500
why
and
is it in the
750.
budget?
It's on my page here. Are you saying some of these are not meant to be there? I show 500,000 for
Yeah.
valve can and insertion valves, and I show
That's the water valve,
750,000
yeah.
for potable water infrastructure. I'm just,
Potable water infrastructure is different than the valve can.
I understand that.
Those are both capital projects. What I'm saying is, as a general rule, not a capital project, regular maintenance, we need to spend 15,000 on valve cans.
I'm not asking the question on that one. I was trying to ask a question on 500,000 and the 750.
Yeah, those are two separate projects.
I got that. So the 750, is that kind of your saying, we haven't done that study yet. We haven't had the guy do the $70,000 study on the pipes and when we should do it and phase it and all that. But you're saying, well, let's put 750 aside to start.
To get
For this
started
year?
for year
Okay.
one,
I just wanted to
yes.
understand. And the 500 is the thing that we were trying to get appropriated. And you're saying, now let's put it in the budget, we'll just pay for it ourselves? Or-
I believe we leave it in the budget and apply for appropriation again next year
With the lobbyist.
with the lobbyists to help us get those funds.
With the hope that it won't actually hit our capital budget. Okay.
Yes.
So the 750, that's something that we need to have a conversation about, but gets to that conversation I was discussing earlier about how much is our mill rate going to be and how much do we have to start attacking the $43 million it'll cost, I guess, according to your calculations, all the water
Water
lines.
infrastructure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I thought we kind of had a consensus at the last meeting that we were going to start this year.
Absolutely.
The question is how much?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we haven't had that discussion, we just said we're going to start.
I think
So-
750
Divided by what the cost per linear foot is.
linear foot cost,
600,
600 to
650.
760
Yeah.
per foot.
600 to 650 per foot. We have 68,000 feet to do. So the question is 750? I mean,
It's a
and not even
start.
scratching this.
It's a start.
Well, I
And then
guess.
we're hoping at some point the state of the feds, come in.
Got it.
There we
But I
say
mean,
drop
we-
in the bucket.
Yeah.
All I'm saying is right now, us skipping this page doesn't mean I'm saying I think 750 is the right number. I want us to have a conversation later. I mean, I don't know if the number should be 500 or it should be 1,500,000. I'm not ready to say that yet from my perspective. I'd like us to understand what the mill rate's gonna,
Mhm.
how much money we have available. I mean, maybe we've got more than 750 available.
Now, paving plan, what's the plan at 500,000?
Where are
That's
you?
my question too.
Right now,
Which page are we on now? Oh, page.
So usually we've done
34?
it in phases where you do the worst streets one year and then the next year you do the next, and then we grade them like A, B, C, D. That's how we've done it in the past. We haven't done like,
That chart's floating around somewhere still.
What's that?
That chart
Lisa
is
and I
floating
have,
around.
Yeah, it
Lisa and I have updated that chart, but it is her, the recommendation at this point that she does not believe that, we need to begin doing street paving at this point. That doesn't mean that, there shouldn't be a plan put in place and that as we do water main projects, we don't have money budgeted for the paving that's going to be necessary as well. But that, at this point in time, she does not believe that it is necessary to
So we
pave
can
our
strike
streets.
it from the-
So why do we have?
so why do we have
your
$500,000?
Because Mayor Pugh, you said specifically, as we've been talking about capital, you would really like to see us start doing paving again.
Right.
So,
But now our town engineer said, we don't need to do paving now?
yes, she does
What
not
street
believe,
needs paving?
she believes
Just
our
regular maintenance
streets
on
are in
streets.
adequate
Oh, no,
shape.
this is paving, baby.
I know.
500,000.
But 500,000.
I would say zero. The engineer's saying we don't. I can't think if somebody can tell me a street that needs paving.
We should have Martell's, they drive
If we're-
up and down the street.
Yeah,
If they build houses on Hudson, we'll need it, I'll tell you that. Falling apart.
well, if we're gonna be doing, the water main project going
And a
forward,
seawall in Hudson, you
Well,
we're
know.
not
water
gonna
mains on
then,
A1A.
start pave a street that we're then ultimately going to
Tear it
have to
up.
dig up to fix.
So we're striking
Replace the
from the
water.
budget?
That would be my recommendation, yes.
Do what?
Strike it. We just say 500,000.
Well, this is on the capital, this is for capital, right?
Or we do more
Or is
linear
this not
feet.
capital?
All right, remove paving plan.
Lynn, are these items in capital or are these in annual?
No, these are the new things. I think. Is it
Uh,
capital or is it maintenance? I think it's
The
capital.
paving, I believe, is under capital.
Same with the.
Yeah, that was one of
It's
those
Infrastructure.
things
Same
I
with the
put on
potable water,
My
yes.
wish
Hey,
list.
go drive around town.
But so we haven't gotten to the capital tab yet,
What
but
did
this
it
is
say?
capital.
Yeah, no, we're in the capital tab.
This is the capital tab.
At least I am.
Physical environment.
Physical
is the tab I'm
environment.
on, But that means capital.
No, physical environment is different than capital.
Well,
Well, this
we
is
were
under
just,
physical
this is under physical environment. $500,000
Capital's
paving.
It feels like
Yeah.
a capital discussion to me, but
Well, the town engineer says we don't need it. We pay her for, I guess. Anything else under physical environment?
well, the 750, I just want to confirm whether that's a capital thing or not, because it's under physical.
See, I thought it
assume
was a
that
capital.
It is because it says it's under account 302-539-112-506-300, which is a capital account.
Okay, well,
So we should remove it from,
maybe we put it in capital. Next draft or whatever.
And it should already be under the footnotes for capital.
so remove it from this physical environment. Physical environment.
Yeah, it's listed under the footnotes for physical environment.
Okay, making good progress. What's the next one?
Public Works.
Public Works.
Who would lump sum it? She says one-time lump sum increase. We're handing 75,000 bucks.
Physical environment. Public Works,
Yeah,
I only show 15.
it's probably Billy's longevity.
So it was, we just gave $5,000 to somebody in the 24 budget. Now in the 25 would be.
That was budgeted, but we didn't pay anything.
Yeah, good point. How do you do a lump sum and not pay anything?
Because we did, the
Yeah.
the $5,000 lump sum, which again, didn't get properly allocated, was last year when the commission did their budget, you gave me $15,000 to split between all non-PD employees. I gave each of them a one-time $2,500. That was the 5,000. The 1,500 in this lump sum is longevity for Billy Armstrong after his 15 years of service with the town.
on top of his 5% merit increase.
Yes, our policies are that we have longevity bonuses. The police department has longevity. Jean has longevity budgeted in the clerk treasurer's budget, because she hits the 20-year mark this year, and Billy has it in this department as he is hitting 15 years.
Lynn, on the overtime and vacation pay, it looks like, I know the year-to-dates are kind of funky, but year-to-date's 12,000 and we're only budgeting 6,000 for next year. Is that because we're just gonna manage it better or?
We hope to manage it better. We went through a period of approximately 12 weeks where we only had one employee in the Public Works Department, so any overtime, any time project.
So you're comfortable with 6,000?
Yes.
All right, I got one, you got on here, fire hydrant flow testing and maintenance paint, 12 grand.
What
But-
page are you on,
Where's
Joe?
that?
But physical environment, 36. But back in physical environment, we've got fire hydrant repair and maintenance moved to public works. So is the total now 32,000, or if it was moved to public works, would it not be 12,000 now or 20,000 now, all public works? So on page 36, fire hydrant flow testing and maintenance,
Where are
12
you?
grand.
12,000.
What number?
12,000 on page 36. It's about
36.
2/3 of the way down
Yeah.
the page.
That is
Under the street
under
light
Public
repairs.
Works.
Right there.
Gotcha.
And then on page 32, we have fire hydrant at the bottom, fire hydrant repair and maintenance, and in parentheses, it says move to public works, repair and maintenance.
But there's still a number there.
But there's 20 grand,
It needs to be
and
taken
there's
out.
only 12 grand.
And this
What?
was taken out.
That higher maintenance and physical environment needs to be taken out and. it
All right,
needs
so
to be-
take out, strike the 20,000.
Yeah,
Which one? Oh, the one in the back,
The two.
on page 32.
one on
Page 32,
strike.
the bottom page is there, that was 20 grand, we strike that out. New fire hydrant. Page 32. 20K. Okay.
Then on these pages, when we're looking at the notes, it doesn't show us what kind of this year's is. Although we have this year's on the kind of higher level one. Is that because it isn't just broken down that way?
It just isn't broken down that way.
Now, the other thing I had is, you have education for maintenance and public works employees. Was that not under that other education thing we did? General,
The tuition.
No, the tuition is
No?
for college.
oh, that's college, okay.
This is education that's necessary for their job.
Anything else in public works? Right.
Can I just ask one more, just because I'm trying to understand? The Public Works, the page 35, the total finance recommended is 454,000. And when I look at the notes with all the detail, the total finance recommendation is 223,000. I just, like, where's the, I don't know what's the differences between the summary and then the detailed notes.
Well, none of your salaries and things like that are included in the footnotes.
That's what it is.
None of your benefits are included in the footnotes.
Got it.
The footnotes sections are general ledger line items that have additional information, so you can see what is expected to be spent under that line.
Got it. Thanks.
Okay.
At the bottom of 36,
Nothing under personal.
shirts, pants, jackets.
That's their uniforms. No different than the uniforms that the police department get.
It's pretty cheap. There's some,
Yeah.
no logos for you.
There are logos on them, they get them through Jeff Industries.
Does a fine job.
Yes.
Personnel, there's nothing under personnel.
All right, so moving on to the,
There's nothing under personnel because I don't have the comp and class study yet.
okay. So then on to the next one, which is capital projects,
No, first is
No, I think
contingency,
contingency.
and I've currently got 150,000, which is our normal amount allocated for contingency.
And this year, the actual so far, I guess, has been 100.
122.
And so what kind of stuff makes up the contingency?
Water line breaks, 99% of it is water main breaks.
So it's repair, because we've got separate line
Emergency
items for
repair.
repair. This is like more.
Emergencies.
This is emergency line item. As I'm sure you're aware, we've had several situations where we've had to shut off areas of town to fix.
Is 150 enough? You've got 122 so far.
If we start doing the replacement of our system, yes, I think 150 is enough. If we continue to ignore the water infrastructure, no, it would need to increase year over year.
Do we learn something from where those breaks happen? Like, is there a type of pipe or a location, or are they closest to? I mean, I don't know enough about it.
Unfortunately, we're an island community, and line breaks can happen from old lines, they can happen from construction nearby, they can happen just from the ground shifting on its own naturally.
But when the guy does the $70,000 survey, we can say, look, if you only had $750,000 to spend to start, because we have these breaks that are happening, and maybe they know enough to say, man, if it was me, I'd do it here and here and here.
Yeah, they would look at where we've had the most line breaks, where the pipe is the oldest, where it's under the highest amount of pressure, and seeing additional.
So that'll help reduce repairs over
Yeah.
time. Yeah, okay, that sounds good.
All right,
What are we on to now, capital?
let's go on to capital projects.
Alrighty. So that 1.5 million difference, 23, 24 to 24, 25, is that the police money that hasn't come in yet?
That is,
What do you think?
the 1.5 million, that is our, are you looking at page 39?
What page are you on?
39.
39, that 1.5 million difference is our estimated revenues versus our expenditures prior to going into the capital projects. And that was with me having preliminarily put an amount in for a transfer for capital projects.
Where's the 1.5 million you're looking at? I'm sorry.
I'm just doing quick math in my head.
Oh.
Take the 10.4 versus 12.1.
It's the net revenues and appropriations line on page 39.
So, it's difficult to digest it that way, I guess I'm saying, because earlier you said we had 13,000, right?
Yes, 13,000 in estimated revenues. We have appropriated an estimated
13 million.
11.
13 million.
Million.
It's 11, as before we just start capital projects.
So there's 1.6 million left over.
Yes.
Gotcha.
And we-
So is it 1.6 million left over, including the physical environment stuff that we already went through?
Yes.
In other words, is it we're at the end of the book now. Everything
We're at the
we've
end of the book.
discussed is already in that 10.7 figure, 10,700,000.
No, because we haven't discussed all the actual capital projects. Our total capital projects for the year are 2,390,709.
And that is or is not in here.
That, from page 39, that is not in there. That's just general fund revenues and expenditures.
But
Where's
we
that 2
we have
million
we have
number?
picked through numerous,
But like,
Projects
like
in
for instance, the
these
750,000
exactly.
water infrastructure is already reflected.
There will be, yes, if you all can give me, if you want to take a break, we've got some cookies, we've got water. You can give me a few minutes to make some of these adjustments. I can throw some updated capital on the screen and get you some updated capital information, because I've been going through while we were doing this and making changes.
But I'm just asking kind of a more general question. So this kind of implies there's 1.6 million left over to allocate towards capital. I'm
Yes.
trying to figure out if that's 1.6 million over and above the 750 you already have for the water, or if you think it isn't.
Exactly.
Or do you have to figure that out?
I have to figure out
Okay.
whether it was accounted in both,
Okay,
so.
I hope it's in there.
Yeah, it would be great.
Because that'd be great.
I don't believe
I mean,
it.
Well, going on the following pages though, I mean, all these pages are gonna change too, like the vehicle lease on
Yeah.
page 46, the extra truck, 52,000.
Yep.
Now, the all-terrain vehicle, that 10,000, so that we're looking at a new all-terrain vehicle?
Yeah, what is that?
The ATV that patrols the beach, we have an old one that I'm going to sell on Dove Fields.
So we have one or have two?
We have a side-by-side and an ATV.
We
Okay,
didn't we budget for one last year?
2 years ago, we had two ATVs currently and a side-by-side. We're
Okay.
selling the one and if we want to replace it. The two side-by-side, we have two. One of my big line items did not appear for the handheld radios. I didn't see on,
yeah, I saw that here.
Should be under capital.
I didn't see it.
I saw something, was it body worn cameras, I think?
That was already approved.
Yeah, we already approved that.
We have a quote for Motorola for our handheld radios that we, are out of life. The last time they were replaced was 2016. It's not a want, it's a necessity. The officers have to have handheld radios. Half the current inventory is at end of life, meaning there's no replacement parts or warranty. The other half will expire in 2025. Several advancements have come out since the last radio purchase in 2016. New radios are GPS equipped, utilize cellular waves, which Means a user could talk anywhere in the United States. Currently, we're lucky if we have Palm Beach County.
Did I miss a money figure?
It's $188,000.
And it's not reflected in here.
I didn't see it.
And I'm not seeing it, but that's why you guys were supposed to,
I put it on the list. It didn't come over. I gave it to you on that separate spreadsheet.
it wasn't on that separate spreadsheet.
Well, I got it here if you guys want it.
Now, because I will get it put in, but that's what.
Wasn't that already
They've
approved?
given us a payment option.
Wasn't that already approved?
Yes.
Yeah.
The radios? No.
No, the radios,
that's
we did a
on
body
cam.
camera, body camera.
Body cam and
That's the
And
10,
tasers.
tasers.
10,000, yeah.
You get Wiley.
It was a package, right?
So I have on a sheet of what we must accomplish, right? We gotta set that upper mill rate.
Yep.
What we're asking Lynn to do is gonna take more than 5 minutes.
Yeah.
So I
I'm
think
asking for a 10-minute recess, because I've been putting
there's
stuff.
a huge question. In other words, do we have zero money left over now? Or do we
No,
have
you
money
don't
left?
have zero money.
Well,
left
no,
over.
I mean,
It was listed on
We have
it.
$1
Just what we
million,
No,
did
but
here,
that's
yeah.
$1 million
because maybe
for a
those
grant.
700,000, et cetera. are-
$550,000 paying plan.
That's my concern.
You have 50,000 in sun ratings, vehicle lease, 15,000 for the wet well, 52
What-
for the truck.
What's the 155 for the police vehicles, Scott?
Is
We have
$55,000
55 for
for,
the lease for the 422 vehicles that are leased,
Okay,
and then the rest is for replacement. We have a 21 that will be needed replaced in 25.
When is the next budget meeting?
August.
August.
Is that far away?
I'm not paying.
You
back till
could
July
set another
31.
one, you could set an additional budget workshop.
So Lynn,
August
do you want
what?
us to give you 10 or 15
August
minutes
what?
now? Is that what you're asking for?
5.
That's what I'm asking
I think
for,
it's-
yeah,
yes.
let's
But
give you
you
10,
guys-
15 minutes, yeah.
I think it's a bigger
We'll quit asking you
question.
questions and let you,
You know what I mean?
yeah, like there's this time to, we'll still have over and out.
August 5th, that Monday.
That's what
Kidding me.
You can't,
I'm not gonna be back
you can't
until,
have it. My knowledge of this computer system, but you can't have it in the physical environment. It doesn't get sucked into QuickBooks.
When are you gonna be gone?
till, we'll drive back on the 31st and.
All right, so do you want
The
to,
second,
That would be.
August 2nd.
are you doing something right now, Lynn? Are you doing it?
I'm
Just
trying
your
to get
10
things
minutes
into the
thing?
system right now.
2.8 million, yeah.
For my,
August 5th, you said.
over the years,
Mhm.
we're gonna be like at zero.
My
We're
wife's
gonna
gonna
be
kill me.
No, I don't think it was.
Why?
They rented a house in Keys.
Maybe like,
We didn't ask for a round.
Check your
Yeah,
calendar.
we're gonna call recess. 10 minutes. Back
This
in
conference
session.
will now be recorded.
We're gonna head and have town manager redo that and then bring it back to us. Do you think you may have it even this evening? I mean, I don't wanna rush it. I'd rather have it right.
Right.
So let's,
As I have a call that I need to return to the auditor, I don't know how long that will take, I can't guarantee.
all right, well, that's, all right, then, next week. Now, do you wanna do another meeting in July? I know
I
that
would
Carolyn's
like
not
to.
gonna be here.
I would like to do another meeting in July.
When? Ainer, how's your schedule?
I'm gonna have to fly down. So, just,
Doesn't matter to you.
The week of the 15th is not good for me.
The what?
The week of the 15th is not good.
How can you do this thing and see the whole, there it is?
Keep on pushing the back button up top. You get an iPhone?
What about the week of the
See
19th?
what
Hang on.
says 2024?
So
Friday-
what do you
Friday's
guys,
the 19th.
what you guys wanna do?
you mean the 22nd?
I'm in
What about
August.
the weekend, what about next week?
Oh, you mean
Wait
August?
a minute.
No, I accidentally got into August, I was looking at.
22nd,
Next
I
week.
have a dentist.
Next week's 8th, the week of the 8th.
I could do
I
Wednesday or
can't.
Thursday. I have a work commitment.
Oh, you're
the
gonna
8th
be
and
in
19th.
I'm gonna go to Alaska.
Who's going to Alaska?
Me.
Dave,
Oh, wow.
So
week of the 15th, will you be around?
well, I get back on the
I'm gonna be
13th. I'll be
Traveling with my family.
I can't do.
So
the
you won't be
16th.
back for
And when are you going?
I'm gone. It's
What's that show?
Oh, okay.
The week of the 22nd is better.
it's good.
I think that works.
How about
That looks
22nd?
good to me.
Yes.
Week of the
As far as I
22nd?
know, yeah.
How about the week of 22nd?
I'll see
Week
if
of
I
what?
can
The
get down.
22nd, I got a dentist. I'm good Tuesday.
I can't do the
Wednesday.
23rd, but I could do.
How about Tuesday, the 23rd?
I can't, I have a board meeting at 9, I could do after that.
Are you?
On Tuesday?
That's a virtual meeting, yeah. Tuesday, the 23rd, I have a,
Tuesday the 23rd, at what time, 11?
Yeah, fine.
Hmm?
Yeah, how long, we're only talking an hour.
Yeah, it's only an hour.
Yeah.
So 7-Eleven, 24. So July 11th,
wait, did you say?
No, no,
11th, or
no.
Did you say the 23rd?
oh, 23rd. I was thinking 7-Eleven because I'm getting a hot dog.
The 23rd, right?
7/23/24 at 11 a.m. You got that, Kelly? All right. So let's talk about the max millage rate. You want to throw a number out there right off?
6.5.
I will tell you right now that if we're meeting on the 23rd, we can actually hold off because the millage rate certification date is the 31st of July. So if we want to wait until after that.
We can, but we should have a quick discussion on just remembering that
Okay.
we're just setting a max and we can go down. We can't set
Yep.
low and then go up. So we can only go down after we set the millage rate.
It's somewhat of a
Max.
meaningless number.
Wait, are you saying we're not going to have the 23rd meeting now, or?
No, we
No,
are.
we are.
We are, okay.
What's that,
She's saying
what's
we
that
could wait
date?
to set
What's that?
23rd.
Oh,
The 23rd at
It's-
11 o'clock.
No, the date that it's due.
I have certified
31st.
it by the 31st of July.
23rd.
But that, Matt, is that published? Is that, why is that a particularly relevant number, the max?
Because we have to certify that tax mill levy to the county
As
for
a max?
that as a max by the 31st of July.
Yeah, so it says if this, then it's going to be this, and then if not, no changes, this.
So I would,
Could I-
I
could we
would
do
give
the-
us a lot of leeway. I mean, we're currently at 5.4. To make this simple, just go to 6.5. We know we're never going to
No, that
go to
sounds
6.5.
silly.
What do you want? No, absolutely not.
I think we
No,
should,
but I think-
I like what Steve's saying. We don't have to go that high.
Correct.
But just do 6.
What, how
Well,
is
limit.
that, what's the downside of giving us plenty of room? Does that
There is
get
none.
published
There is
and
none.
There is none.
citizens could revolt or something? I mean, is it?
Well, you know,
It is publicly
it's
available.
public knowledge and it might be
But it's not
misconstrued
our
that,
intention, it's not our intention to go there. It's
No.
just
Correct.
providing ultimate flexibility. That's-
but you got to give yourself leeway because you can't go back up.
Yeah, I could live at 6, probably. I mean, I doubt that we'd ever go to 6.
Correct. I doubt that too.
Dave,
6 is all right.
Carolyn?
Okay,
All right.
What would you like something better, Carolyn? You want to go 5.9?
I don't, it's so arbitrary.
Well, it is because
Yes,
it's really,
This
we
is
want to,
arbitrary,
We're buying breathing room.
without question. We're just
Some
trying to
things
make
that
sure
we
we
don't
pick a
have to
number
see.
that we, not to exceed.
Correct.
oh, you want somebody to make a motion?
So what number are we at? 6?
6?
Make a
Can we-
motion that the mill rate will not exceed 6% for 2024-25 budget.
Percent or mil?
It's not a percent.
Mills.
Mills.
Yeah.
Sorry about that.
6.9%.
6.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
All right, motion and second. Any other discussion? Public comment? Hearing none.
You're exposing yourself.
You have to come up here and state your name and address for the record if you want to have a public comment.
Okay. Okay. Roland Stiers, 16 Fayette Drive. I was just
Thank you, Kelly.
telling you, you are exposing you publicly to 6, so that will encourage public discussion about that. That's all.
Well, it behooves us to do that so that we have the room to go down. Instead of too low and we have to go up and we don't know all the numbers, it'd
That's
be,
fine.
But you understand what we're doing.
Yeah,
So
of
if somebody
course, I
asks you, you
understand.
explain it to them.
Should we, as part of the motion, should we say it's the commission's intent
thank
to
you.
keep it below that, Mr. Mayor? Should we say it's our every intent to keep it below?
But we could say that so that the reporter in room can actually write that in her article.
That's all.
Thank you. So all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Motion carries. All right, that's,
Can we-
we'll do it for,
Can we talk about that date, the 23rd? It's could we possibly do the Thursday, the 25th? Would that work? I mean, I can make that work. It's just really inconvenient with family.
That's up to the rest of, I'm definitely gonna be here.
I could do the 25th.
I can do the 25th.
I can do the 25th.
Same here.
All right, thank you.
All right,
At the
Appreciate
same
that.
time?
so it's
Sure.
25 instead of
Yep.
23rd. All right, thank you, everybody. Meeting is adjourned.
Okay.